I never watched this Willy video. The next 12 months must decide the future of Classic WoW 2 weeks ago. I'm a big Willy fan, so I would like to watch this. After 20 years, Willy finally got burnt out. Remember the hype for Classic? Okay, let's see it. I don't know what's gonna be talked about in this video. It's a big 12 months for WoW. I've actually called this the year of WoW in the sense that we have TBC coming out, Midnight coming out, probably Wrath after TBC coming out. We have Classic Plus coming out. We have hardcore TBC community event, and we have probably OnlyFans 3. There's going to be something to do the entire year. It's packed. That's the next 12 months. See what's happening.
2026 is shaping up to be the most important year in Classic WoW's history, and that's really not an exaggeration. We've had Classic since 2019 now, over 6 years, and for those first few years, things were relatively straightforward. We knew where the game was going to be heading. We have Vanilla, which makes sense that we do TBC, and of course Wrath of the Lich King after that, and then things start to get a bit more murky. We do Cataclysm and Mists of Pandaria, and well, who knows after that. We've had seasonal servers too. Season of Discovery offered something different and experimental, and Anniversary Realms more recently gave us a fresh start. The path felt relatively clear, even if we always didn't know the exact dates. But approaching 2026, now I feel there's a genuine sense of uncertainty hanging over the entire Classic ecosystem. I
mean, I'm pretty certain about Classic Plus. I mean, are you guys? Like, I feel like for sure. Yeah, I mean, with all the hints and stuff. Yeah.
We've reached a crossroads where Blizzard really has to commit to making some big decisions on the future of the game, and they can't afford to just keep playing things out and seeing how they go. Today I want to go over where Classic is right now, why the next year matters so much, and what needs to happen if this game truly will have a future beyond it just being re-releases. Let's start by looking at what is actually available for Classic players right now. We've got multiple versions of the game running simultaneously, each with their own player bases and content schedules. Mists of Pandaria Classic is currently the endpoint for the realms that began in 2019. Mists of Pandaria launched midway through 2025, and as of December they're on Phase 3 with Throne of Thunder just having released. The thing is, Mists of Pandaria I don't think is quite hitting the amount of players that was expected of it, given how fondly a lot of people look back to it. And
I feel like Mists of Pandaria is doing about exactly what we thought it was going to do. So this was Classic, this is TBC, this is Wrath, this was Kata, this is Mob. Like, I don't know about you guys, but yeah, like I definitely expected less than Kata, which in Kata I expected less than Wrath. Like, this kind of is pretty much exactly what I thought. If they do WoD, which I think would be a mistake, I think it would go down even more. Like, I think WoD would like cut this in half. So, I mean, I don't know.
I believe there's a number of reasons why that's happened, such as Mists of Pandaria remakes coming to retail WoW much earlier than what Classic did, as well as people feeling as though their time isn't being too well invested long term in activities which aren't raiding or PvP, because ultimately no one really knows what's happening to their character in about a year's time.
It's true.
These realms are still ongoing, but where they will end, that's anyone's guess at the moment, and that's kind of the trend across many different versions of Classic. Season of Discovery launched its final phase in early 2025 now. This season started super strong, but it just went on and on for far longer than anyone anticipated. What was supposed to be seasonal content, by the way, started in November of 2023. This is, outside of Classic era, the longest running version of Classic ever, and it's supposed to be seasonal. There is still a small and dedicated player base there, and Blizzard did assure those players that they'll continue running the servers, but for how long when the player base has dropped as much as it has, it's just another big question mark hanging over the Classic scene. Anniversary Realms have been the big success story of 2024 and 5 for Classic. It turns out when in doubt, just re-release it again and people will come back. And we know for Anniversary Realms they'll be progressing to TBC with the pre-patch dropping on January 13th, 2026.
That's today!
But once again, beyond that, we're just going into the unknown. Why really care about anything other than explicitly raiding or PvP when you have no idea what's going to be happening to your character in a genre that is an MMO, which is supposed to be about the long term, and you having an idea of what will be there in the future for you to take part in?
I think this is like a fair criticism that Willie's bringing up. I think a lot of, I don't want to speak for everyone here because everyone's different, but for me and a lot of us, we want a WoW to call home again, right? Playing MoP, like, you know, it's either going to end after MoP or end after maybe Water Legion. And it's like, well, am I going to put my time into that when it's going to like end? SOD, same thing. Like, I love SOD. Phase 8 was great, but like, there's no future. So why am I going to play? It's a waste of time at that point, right? You could even make the same argument. Like, yeah, well, TBC is going to be fun. Wrath is going to be fun, but like, where's it going? That's why I'm so excited for Classic Plus if it actually happens, because we'll have a place to call home again. Like, okay, this is not going anywhere. It's not seasonal. It's not 3 months. It's not a year. We're going to keep getting content. We can keep living, in that world and keep getting more and more. If it happens and it's good, like,
gonna stop at TBC? Will there be TBC error? Are they gonna do Wrath? Will there be Wrath error? What happens after that? Again, no idea. There is also Classic Era and Hardcore Realms 2 that will exist as permanent homes that people will always be able to go back to. They're not quite as hype driven given that they're not receiving new content, but I feel as though environments such as this should be where classic content is preserved instead of us just doing fresh again and again and again. And that's really where Classic is at heading into 2026. But here's the problem with all that, and I definitely touched on it during that introduction to the state of Classic. We just don't know some answers to pretty fundamental questions that any MMO player should reasonably be expecting to know. Do Mists of Pandaria progression realms continue to Warlords of Draenor? If not, what happens to our characters? Will we be able to transfer to retail? Do the servers just stop? Is there Mists of Pandaria error? I find that hard to believe. Will the Anniversary Realms become permanent TBC error when they finish? Will there be Wrath? Will there not be Wrath? Will the Anniversary Realms...
Wait a minute. What if there is no Classic Plus? What if TBC goes to Wrath and at BlizzCon next year, they announce they're going to continue developing Wrath Plus? Because Wrath had higher rating peak. People love Wrath. And Anniversaries are going to be in Wrath. So what if they let Anniversary run from Classic TBC to Wrath? They release Wrath phases, but towards the end of Wrath, they release a new raid. I wonder if that's what they're planning. I don't know.
Continue progressing. What's happening with Season of Discovery characters? Will these realms be kept alive? Because right now the raiding population has dropped to a very low number, and it's about 1/4 of the players on Classic Era. And given that Season of Discovery is a highly custom version of vanilla World of Warcraft, I really find it hard to believe it's gonna regain players, or people are going to be going back there for nostalgia too much. And perhaps larger than any of these things, and especially for me, is what is Blizzard actually working on for the future beyond Classic just being re-releases? I don't feel as though these are niche, strange questions to be asking. These are basic and fundamental things that players need to know when they're deciding where to invest their time in an MMO. And right now, and frankly for a very, very long time, we just don't have the answers to these questions. And whilst I truly believe Blizzard are working on something big for Classic in the background and are going to be waiting a long time before they seriously communicate on it, not knowing the fate of what our characters are doing on any other version of Classic has also really started to grate on me, and it feels bad.
That is very fair to say. Press 1 in the chat if you feel that way to some degree. You don't know where your characters are going, so that kind of in the back of your head is like, this is just a waste of time. Yeah. Like, I definitely have felt that. It's like, I at least want to know where the characters are going at some point. Like, it's a very fair thing to bring up.
When I'm considering where I want to play and just having no idea what the long term will be. I want to touch a bit more on the seasonal content in Classic though, because I feel as though it's been indicative on Blizzard's lack of communication across all the different versions of Classic. So I've been in favor of them doing seasonal content. I even did a video literally years before Season of Discovery saying they should do a season called Season of Discovery with class changes. Many other games, including MMOs, have proven that seasonal content can work.
Man,
Old school RuneScape does it with leagues. Even retail does it with remix content now. It can absolutely work and be fun when it's executed properly. But the thing is, and the clue is in the name of these types of servers, is that they are seasonal, meaning it lasts a season. Seasons are, you know, about 3 to 4 months long, maybe 5 or 6 at the absolute most. It's supposed to be a concentrated, focused, predetermined period of time where things are just set to the fun scale level and players set out in the world and see how things have changed. But in Classic, seasons just haven't worked like that. Season of Mastery ran for well over a year, and Season of Discovery has been going for over 2 years at this point in time. These aren't seasons, they're alternate versions of the game which really want to be their own MMOs but ultimately have to be cut short because they are seasons. And it creates...
Okay, so that's a fair perspective. So he's saying seasons are too long. They should really be like 3 or 4 months, maybe 5. So the way RuneScape is doing it with like something like Gridmasters or some of their seasonal stuff is you get cosmetic rewards to bring to the main game. So you play the seasonal game, it's fun, it's fast paced, it's quick, and when it's done, you got cosmetic rewards to bring to the main game. The way retail WoW is doing it with Remix is you get to level a character, you play the character in Remix, you unlock cosmetics, and you end with the character, so your time was well spent. If WoW does seasonal stuff with Classic WoW, what would you guys want? Like cosmetics for Classic? I think a lot of people might rage about that. Maybe the thing you get is you get to bring your level 60 over at the end of it. You get a level 60 with all the fun you had. I don't know. People saying, I just don't want seasonal content, like that's fair too. But I think what Willie's saying is it's a good place to experiment and test, right? It's not like seasonal content, like we would have ideally Classic Plus to like actually play and live in that world. The seasonal stuff would be to like test content to see what people might like, kind of a thing. But yeah, I think ideally if it's one or the other, which it isn't, then obviously, yeah, like a permanent home, like a Classic Plus would be my vote too. Yeah, it's interesting to think about. Like what if SOD was like 6 months long, all of the content came way quicker, and at the end of it, you got to bring your 60 over plus, I don't know, because if you brought in cosmetic mounts, would that be too much? Probably, right?
Problems because we have all these versions of the game running alongside one another. None of them have clear endpoints or directions in the future, and players just don't know where to commit their time to other than I want to check out the raid in this expansion, and then they start to look around and realize, is there actually any point doing any of this content when I don't know where my character will be? And MMOs, in my opinion,
we're like at the point of World of Warcraft existential crisis. We're all just like sitting here like, wait a minute, where's the world of Warcraft even going? What's the purpose of all this if my account's going to be deleted? It's just like, bro, holy crap.
Do need that commitment. You need to know where your character is going to end up or be in a year's time.
That's
or
fair.
even
It's
beyond
fair.
that.
It's really fair.
There's an upside to this approach from Blizzard though, and that is flexibility. With a smaller team, they can more quickly redirect and start working on newer projects. In Season of Discovery, they weren't going to do Karazhan Crypts or Scarlet Enclave at one point in time, but then they realized there were a good chunk of players still there and decided to commit to it, and the season really improved for them having done that.
It was so
but
fun.
At the same time, this freedom and ability to change has to come with speed, and that's kind of the thing where Blizzard has not done very well overall, because if you look at Season of Discovery, for them to create a brand new raid or dungeon, well, it took them well over a year to do so. And among the indecision across all the various different types of Classic, the player counts are being affected. When Mr. Pandaria Classic released, it definitely should have done better than Cataclysm did, albeit it didn't have the remainder of the players from and Wrath of the Lich King, but this was an expansion that so many people said was absolutely great, yet it didn't get off to as good of a start as Cataclysm did. And
I don't think I had the expectation that MoP would do better than Kata. I love MoP. MoP is my favorite PvP. I can't speak for the PvE, but I mean, I didn't have the expectation that MoP would peak higher than Kata. No way. I had the expectation that it would do about exactly what it did, and then if they release WoD, it would probably do half a MoP. To be honest, it would just keep going down. If they do Legion might see an uptick, and if they go past that, then GG's, right?
Cataclysm, comparatively, is not an expansion people look back to well. Season of Discovery started off incredibly and has naturally dropped off and doesn't have much of a player base left. The Anniversary rounds have done well overall. The energy of Fresh is just hard to beat, but we're now approaching that end of expansion period, and we're going to see a drop off over the holidays before things start to pick back up in TBC. But here's the thing. Whilst there is some semblance of a player base going on here, it's just not going to be comparable to what it could be if we're just re-releasing things again and again, because just copy-pasting the content isn't going to be sustainable long term. There will always be a proportion of the player base who genuinely just want to replay vanilla, TBC and Wrath every couple of years, sure. This is why I've always been in favour of all these versions of WoW having Ever Realms, so we can set players there who happily want to play them, and then put all the time into some brand new project which is going to deliver new content. But re-releasing again and again isn't going to grow the player base. The majority of people, I think, will check out the content once, say, oh yeah, I've done that, and then leave it the next time. And I think more and more people will realize that horizontal content or content which isn't in the then and now for the expansion doesn't serve much of a point. And what I mean by that is you can only play a certain expansion with that expansion's class balance, itemization, and so on during that actual expansion. Everything else you're doing, well, who knows whether it's going to carry forward, so why bother even doing it? The nostalgia hook, which Classic has always had, is great for getting people in the door to check out the game, but once they're in the game, eventually there does need to be new stuff to keep people interested in continually playing the game. Again, this is an MMO. You do need people continually playing the game for it to...
MMOs are somewhat unique in that you play the game for fun in itself, in the sense if you play a game of Counter-Strike or a game of League, it's I'm playing because well, maybe you're just addicted or whatever, but you should be playing a game because you might think it's fun. And WoW does have elements of that, of course. WoW is a fun game, but what makes WoW different is that it's an online persistent world, which means the persistence is important, which means it's not about just logging in and having fun, it's about continuity. Right? You want why do people invest so much time? It's because, well, it's part of their life. It's where they spend time and sit and hang out as much as play. Right? A game like League or a game like Counter-Strike is different. So with WoW, once again, I agree with Willie. It's important to know, is this server going to be here a while? It's very important.
Grow long term and evolve. If it's just re-releasing again and again, it's going to be more of a managed decline. At some point you need new content, new directions, new reasons for players to stay engaged beyond just saying, oh, remember when the game was like this. So what are the big decisions Blizzard has to make? Well, there's going to be 3 in total for 3 different versions of the game. So the 2019 progression realms are currently in Mists of Pandaria, which means Warlords of Draenor is next in line, and that is going to be complicated because Warlords of Draenor is widely considered one of the weakest expansions in WoW's history. Garrison-focused gameplay, cut content, and a massive content drought that lasted over a year at the end of the expansion. That being said, raiding seems to be enough for people to want to play Cataclysm or Mists of Pandaria, so maybe Blizzard do commit to it. Beyond that, do we get Legion? Because I am 100% sure that Legion would not be as popular as people think it would be, and it would suffer the exact same issues of Mists of Pandaria, where remixes already happened, and it just wouldn't feel as polished as retail. For me, I think the only clear answer beyond Mists of Pandaria Classic is that these characters are somehow rolled into retail. It sounds drastic, but I don't see another answer that works long term.
I've been saying this for a while, and every time I say it, people call me an idiot, but I'm just well, what's the alternative, bro? What else are you gonna do? You keep up a MoP forever, there'll literally be 0 people playing at some point. It's there's no way they're just gonna keep a forever MoP. They're going to do MOP Plus? Like, probably not. They're going to put their time into Classic Plus. Like, what are your other options? You bring the characters to retail. It's like the only... It's really like the only option that Blizzard has, I think. I can't think... Yeah, I've been saying this for, like, years. I agree. And then if it doesn't happen in MOP, they go to WoD, and then maybe they go to Legion, then it for sure happens after Legion. Like, I don't see them redoing Shadowlands or whatever expansion comes after Legion, which I think is Shadowlands.
The second decision will be regarding the anniversary realms. So we're getting TBC in 2026, and that's great and everything. By this time next year, TBC will be winding down, and we'll have probably had Wrath of the Lich King anniversary announced at BlizzCon 2026. And the long-term plan for anniversary will either be, I can see it going two ways here. Option one is we have era realms of all the different versions of anniversary. So Vanilla era, TBC era, Wrath of the Lich King era. And these era realms are all created when the expansion ends, and after that, if you want to play any of these 3 original versions...
Oh, I actually could see them doing this. I thought it would just go to Wrath, but maybe they'll pull the same thing they did with Classic Era, and they do character copies. So you could copy your character and keep it in TBC forever, and then also move to Wrath, and then you could and then they'll do a perma Wrath. So they'll do one of each 3. I'll say something a bit controversial. I think this is a terrible idea. Willie seems to want that. A lot of people in the chat always say they want that. A lot of people say they want this. I don't think it's a good idea because it just splits the player base so much. And from the data that we do have, we could probably expect after 6 months to a year, there would be less than 10 to 20,000 weekly raiders. Is 10 to 20,000 weekly raiders worth splitting the community that much? Like, probably not, I would say. I would say probably not. So I don't think the trade-off is worth it. What I would rather have is, like, get less WoWs, get more people back into the... I would like 2 versions, Retail and Classic Plus, right? On the Classic Plus, if you want to keep one realm, like Classic Era realm, and then, like, one realm as a hardcore realm under the Classic Plus launcher, like, I guess that kind of works too. But I would like less WoWs, even though people always have their preferences.
You just go to the Era realm and there's no more fresh. Option 2 is they do keep repeating things on about a 3-year schedule, where you have a vanilla fresh that drops off into Era, a TBC fresh into Era, and a Wrath fresh into Era. That being said, I think this one's less likely because it's going to compete with other versions of World of Warcraft that are coming out, and it's just re-releasing the same content again and again, so I think the player base will gradually diminish over time, and ultimately it would just be better long term to commit to Era. The third big choice is of course about Classic Plus. It's what everyone's been talking about for a long time now, and it's what Blizzard has been working on behind the scenes, according to their very own statements. The widespread expectation from the community is that Classic Plus will be unveiled at BlizzCon 2026, but waiting that long for basic information is gonna hurt quite a bit. I'm just gonna say the last major communication on Classic Plus came with Blizzard's announcement that they were stopping development on Season of Discovery to work on other projects. That was at the end of May in 2025. If it's expected to be September 2026 just for an announcement for Classic Plus, that would be basically a 16-month content drought in this space, and it would be even longer than that before the release. That would make this the longest content drought World of Warcraft has seen ever. Both WoD...
I mean, we're getting TBC, and then maybe Wrath after, and there's Midnight, and then we're going to be doing TBC Hardcore. I don't know if that's the biggest content drought. Definitely not, right? Warlords of Draenor back in like 2015, there was nothing to do. It's when everyone was playing Nostal, right? So yeah, I don't know if I agree with that one, but I don't know. With Classic Plus, I'm less concerned about when it comes out, and I'm more concerned about quality. I want it to like actually not suck. I would rather have it be, in development for 2 or 3 years and things are pretty solid, and then from there it gets even better because it continues to be in development. Like, that'd be great. So I don't know. I'm less concerned with like we need it now, to be honest.
to Legion and Legion to BFA were about a 14-month content drought, by the way, but I guess we at least have other versions of WoW to play, unlike with those 2 expansions. And I don't want to be overly negative about the state of Classic because there is so much potential here. I've always believed that since I've been making content on this game since its very beginning. The 2019 launch of Classic WoW was one of the biggest moments in Blizzard's history. Classic directly spawned organic, community-created game modes like Hardcore that drove massive interest and engagement to the game. And Classic and Vanilla just feels as though it has more hype and interest surrounding it. People constantly want to watch it or hear about it or discuss it. It's over 20 years old now, but this game just has a buzz about it that's never died. Classic and the world is special, but its future can't just always be the same content again and again. If we continue down our current path, by this time next year we would have Warlords of Draenor Classic, assuming the MOP realms go that way, Anniversary realms with a question mark about where they're going, and Classic Plus with a, well, we don't know, maybe we'll do it, maybe we won't kind of attitude. But imagine an alternative where Blizzard really commits to a roadmap for all the different versions of World of Warcraft in 2026. They unveil Classic Plus, they say what's going to be happening with Anniversary realms, and they announce what the future of Classic progression realms will be.
I think BlizzCon this year, it's in September, so it's earlier, not November. I think BlizzCon this year is going to be very telling. I think we're going to learn a lot. Like all of these answers, we should have all these answers by September, which I guess is a long time away, really. But yeah, I think it's going to be very, very, very telling.
It could absolutely revitalize Classic and set in motion a long-term plan that this game has been missing for such a long time now. And if you are having fun with any version of WoW, be it Anniversary or otherwise, that's great. Genuinely, I'm not trying to rain on anyone's parade here, but here's a reality. For example, for Anniversary, in a month, you'll be moving to TBC, and nothing you've done in Vanilla will matter anymore. And about a year from now, nothing you will have done in TBC will matter anymore. And you don't know if Wrath of the Lich King is happening or not. It's just
The only things that matter, one, are fun in itself, like we already talked about, which is fine. That's a fair answer. I played, I had fun, and it's over. Like, that's a fine thing. But people do like continuity because it's an online persistent world. 2 are titles. So if you grinded something like High Warlord, Grand Marshal, like that's going to stay. And TBC, if you grind rank 1 or whatever, like PvE titles and stuff like that, those stay. And then 3 are mounts, right? So like if you grinded Swivzulian Tiger, if you do get Invincible or Ashes, like there are titles, mounts, and the fun in itself. Those are the things that are persistent. Yeah.
temporary, it's fleeting, there's no permanence here. I really want to know what's happening in the future so I can commit my time. This might be fine for some players, but it's grown to be a bit of a turn-off for me. In fact, for me personally, I can tell you this is a direct contributor about why I didn't play Mr. Pandaria Classic. Not only did I do a lot of the content in that expansion back in the day, but I just don't know what happens in the future. I'm not very interested in doing the horizontal content when I don't know where my character will be going. And the only real appeal of the continual classic progression realms for me would be the raiding. And I have always been a big raiding enjoyer, but it's become apparent to me that just raiding alone isn't enough. The game literally has more content than Vanilla or TBC or Wrath in Mr. Pandaria, but it just feels emptier than ever because I only really care about logging in a few times a week to clear the raid and then logging off again. And raiding's gone from one of my favorite things to do in the game to, oh, I have raid tonight, I need to log in. It's almost become a chore for me, and that's just a terrible feeling. Raiding used to be the cap.
Dang, guys, Willie is in the phase of WoW where it's just like, bro, this sucks. I think we've all been there, right? We've all been there. It's just like, geez, goodness, what's going on? You know, I think that's just burnout. Well, the number one comment on the video says, after 20 years, Willie finally got burnt out. It's like, yeah, it's very true. It's very true. I think a lot of what he's saying does make sense, though. I think they're fair questions to ask, and I think it's fair to want an answer to them. So I'm not like disagreeing with him, right? It's just like, yeah. kind of how it has been.
Of the content in WoW, something you look forward to once or twice a week on top of everything else the game offered. Now it's like a reminder of, oh, I need to log in today to do the raid and then log out because there's just nothing else for me to care about here. Classic deserves better than this. The community deserves better. And I genuinely believe Blizzard realized this. They've said as much in their statements about working on something big for Classic's future. Now they just need to follow through. 2026 is the year where this has to happen. Blizzard has to commit because frankly they're running out of time to keep waiting any longer. It'll be time to communicate, give us real information.
I slightly disagree with this because people in the chat have brought up this point too, that Blizzard's on a timer, and if they don't produce Classic Plus by September, like by end of year, it's GG. They ran out of time and everyone quits. I disagree. Why do I disagree? Well, people in 2015 and 2016 wanted Classic and Nostalrius, and Blizzard didn't deliver till 2019. It's like 3 years later, and it was bigger than ever, right? It was massive. I think if Blizzard, I mean, I don't want to say this, but Blizzard does have some, like, they could take their time and launch Classic Plus in 2027, it would still be massive. If they really wanted, they could launch it in like late 2027, 2028, it would still be massive, right? People love WoW. I hope that's sooner than that. I hope it's this year. I hope it's end of this year. But it's just, I just don't think it's true to say like Blizzard's on a time crunch, they need to get it out now, right? I just don't think it's true.
About where Classic is headed, what they're working on, and what the long-term vision actually will be. Because if we reach the end of 2026 with just question marks still hanging over the future of Classic, I don't really know where the game can go from there, beyond just its nostalgia. The framework is very much there for Classic to grow into something amazing. The community is absolutely there for it, the passion from the players is there. All that's missing is for Blizzard to finally let us know what will be happening. I just hope that it's worth the wait. That being said, let me know your thoughts on the current state of Classic WoW and what you're looking forwards to in the future. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening in, and I'll see you all in the next one very soon.
Yo, I mean, it's a banger from Willie. I agree what he has to say with, but he definitely seems very burned out. Like, he definitely is like, bro, Blizzard, give me something, you know? We've all been there for sure. For sure. Yeah. I'm like, for me, still best case scenario is you have 2 WoWs. It's going to piss some people off, right? But you have Classic Plus. Maybe you have a branch of Classic Plus with Hardcore. Maybe you even keep White Mane up on Era, right? And you have that Classic world, and then you have retail. I think what might happen, though, is we get a permanent TBC and Wrath with these Anti-Realms with character copies, like Willie suggested. Like, that sounds like it could happen. Just so many avenues they could go. And then in MoP, yeah, I think they'll transfer us to retail at some point. Just end WoW, let us have a life, bro.